people, and welcome back to episode 6 of 5B 1C season 3. Hope you're having a wonderful day, and thank you so much again. A fire is going to break out at the start of the episode. I swear to God that isn't planned, that just keeps happening. But welcome back to 5B everyone. This is my final episode of this rotation, and thank you so much for all the support across our little kind of waterfront tram park build. Lots of kind comments on this, and indeed a very positive like ratio as well. So glad you guys enjoyed it. And I certainly did as well. Love our little node control trams, right? This is the new favourite thing to do in Cities Skylines. Very happy with this. And it looks as though the traffic issues that we were having last time now seems to have resolved themselves. Just having a little relief point so not everyone is trying to hammer their way through this main junction. It just siphons off a nice bit of traffic now, so this is much smoother now, the capital's industry. And today we are actually leaving the capital. It is my turn to head far away and start building a little rural town out here. We should have some really nice opportunities. We've got the foot of the mountains to work with. Also a waterfront, which is where we'll be starting my build today. Going to do some nice sort of waterfront marinas, a little bit of residential, possibly some industry and commercial in there as well. So basically just playing the game. It's not really very specific, is it? We also have a train line passing through here too. And essentially, because me and Zardis are kind of the furthest away from the capital, I think I am probably furthest away, right? Yeah, probably me and Yumble are the furthest away. So we can very much lean into the old favourite rural vibes. And we have a nice little pre-made highway exit here for us, courtesy of the beautiful Eggsy. So, let's build Eggs Rural Town in 5B, shall we? So because we're starting a new town and the city is already started, we have money behind us. We don't have to be quite so restrictive in the builds that are available to us now, which is quite interesting. So I'm just going to start by bringing out these initial frames, and then I really want the waterfront to be the focus of today's episode as to how we can work with some, perhaps some slightly more rural waterfront designs. So the first thing I want to do is actually snap to the road guideline of this exit road and start to map out exactly where our little sort of waterfront marina is going to sit, and we're going to use some dirt road pathways in order to form this. Now I don't want it to be too deep. And I possibly think even that's maybe too deep. Let's go for another 5 units here. Okay, and then we'll bring it out by 30. I think that should be mostly sensible. And then we'll also do the same thing down this side as well. I want to snap to a road guideline of this road though, so we know that we're parallel. So of course, any initial terraforming work in cities always kind of looks horrendous before it starts to look good. Well, that'll give me an initial little frame for a harbour. Let's come in now. So because we're working with boats today, it's kind of awkward when Cities has the really nasty sort of 20-foot jump into a boat. I really don't want that to be happening. So we're going to terraform out a layer closer to the water. Then hopefully as the game plays, the water will, of course, temporarily lose its mind, but we just want to make sure that we're not too many contour lines down for this to keep flooding, which it looks like at the minute. We possibly might be. So we'll wait for this to go away. Otherwise, I think we possibly want to pick out a slightly higher contour line. That one's maybe a little bit more appropriate, isn't it? So we'll go for that instead. So we're going to use some seawall keys here today. Also some rocks. Do some different sort of rural waterfront marina vibes. And there we go. The game seems to be happy with that. So now we can draw on a road. On this layer, we will then grab all current road nodes with this height here. Little control on H to set the height, and then everyone come down to this level. And that's a much more realistic format for me. I'm definitely going to be happy with that. So now we've got this in, let's come in and start terraforming a little bit of parkland that can sit around this. That's slightly wider than we need it to be. Okay, just get it as smooth as we can. Of course, the keys and the rocks will tidy up any sort of edge jank that we come across today. And then the same thing over this side as well, but I want this one to be a little bit more sort of swayed towards the left side of the key. This is alright for me. We can delete that initial frame now. Then let's just start pushing out all the bottom of the marina, and then we can start placing in some keys. Also delete our first road frames now that the land masses have been expanded. Everyone should be happy with this. Cool. So let's go work on some seawall keys. Definitely because we're kind of small rural vibes here. I do want the keys to be the simple seawalls, although I have to remember that we do still want the road guideline from the dirt road in order to snap the key to, so we will do that. Yeah, so simple seawall key with fence. Always a favourite, isn't it? Yeah, this is the one we want. So make sure that I'm snapping to a angle. So I want to do something a little bit nicer here. Let's bring this down. And then, rather than just being sort of a straight edge, I want to actually come off of the road guideline. And then just bring in a little bit of curvature just on the angle snap now. And then just have it end about there. And again, there's lots of little part detail opportunities alongside this cliff face now as well. Okay, I'm aware this looks horrific. We just go wait for the water to chill out a bit. Now I think just to help break up our angles a little bit, I'm also going to terraform out sort of a little square onto this corner of the peninsula. And there's going to be some nice layers developing here today with the roads coming down a very slight hill. Not all going to be totally working with the flat space. We've got some industrial demands in the city too, so we'll see if we can factor in some office zoning into this space here today as well. So let's have a look at the terrain now. Let's start sloping some of this down. Just so we can see exactly how far the water will sit against the quay. Because again, we're working with boats. We want to make sure it's at some sort of sensible elevation. That seems like it's going to be good enough for me. Yeah, we're nice and tight up here as well now. Wonderful. So again, let's reinstate our little dirt road frame so we can snap in the next key now. So come back onto road length and guideline. There we go. So we know that this one is perfectly straight with that one. Let's also grab the next seawall frame now, and we want to be snapping to road guideline. We do want to bring out a new one though. I think I probably want it about there. Let's grab those keys. There we go. So bring it flush around the edge of this little square that we've dug out. And then at this point, we'll switch back to rocks. And then from this guideline now, I want to draw in another stretch of keywall. And then this can run the length of the marina. And then again, just grab everything with move it, little control and height, and then set it to the same height as these keys over here, which will make sure that everyone is consistent. Fantastic. Move these now. And this should give us our initial frame. And I think definitely, I think Zardas has actually done this already, hasn't he? Yeah, to create the breakwaters with the prop line tool vanilla rocks, we definitely want to be bringing this in. So this is certainly what we'll be doing. Let's come into a linear fence fill with the rocks, and we will spin them round 45 degrees. Should, it's another 90, isn't it? Yeah, there we go, 90, that's what we want. And then we'll bring our distance down. Let's go for, that should be okay. Yeah, and then we'll come on with prop anarchy as well. And let's just do some nice breakwater rocks all the way around the edge. Moving back onto between straight and freeform, as we need the pattern to develop. Same thing over here too. Okay. I'm happy with that. So I definitely want this to become some sort of park area, and probably feeling just regular vanilla walking pathway, to be fair. I think this is all we need. And let's just bring this down on a little sort of snaky function as it comes around. Lots of tree detailing around here. Possibly get a park life gazebo in as well. Okay, and then hopefully we can just use find it to dig out the vanilla lighthouse prop, the abandoned one. I think I'm okay with that. We'll have it up there. That should really help tie into our rural vibes today, I think. Okay. And then just as to where the key is ending now, I can definitely see a chance where we want to break our sort of breakwater rock pattern, if you will. Touch more level terrain. And a little bit of a mass around here. And then we can develop some nice patterns and possible park life asset placements with our little vanilla pathway. Wonderful. Cool. We'll also hook into the key at a couple of points as well, so it makes the walkable seawall key functional. But as an initial concept, I hope we can all agree that a little sort of waterfront marina here is going to be appreciated. I'm happy with that. Fantastic. Wonderful. So we'll let this sort of frame sit and see how the rest of the build develops around it. It is still a ridiculous height, isn't it? Is that just the keys? Yeah, it is. Okay. Yeah, so if we drop in the marinas, Yeah, we're still getting the 20-foot drop into the boats. Right, yeah, I'm going to try and avoid that. Okay. It is irritating. It is irritating. So let's grab all the node keys. All the keys of the nodes. And let's just start sliding everyone down until we're at a level where the water doesn't lose its mind. Okay, it seems a little bit more happy with that, doesn't it? So let's now amend all of our other keys to be at the same height here. Now let's just come on for nodes of the... Actually, we can grab all nodes, yeah. So do the same thing over this side as well. Let's grab every single node. Then we'll do a control and height down to this height here. Yeah, fantastic. I'm happy with that. Touch of terraforming now needed to rework the seawall keys, but that should give us a much easier time with the road network thing. So now that we have a new layer picked out with our keys, it's time to terraform all around that again, of course. Make sure we give ourselves enough breathing room. And there we go. We also want to terraform these land masses ever so slightly again too. Okay, there we go. Very nice. Fantastic. So, let's come in with a road. We'll snap it to the frame, and this should now allow the more realistic placement of our marinas, for which we want several of them back to back here. Or side to side, I guess, right? Okay, we can see a touch of just terrain jank, where we just want to sink our keys down again. Set it to the same height as the others. Move it's so handy for that. Okay. Gives us a little marina. I'm happy with that, and so the rest of the town can now focus in and around this. We will grab the overroad tool and now hook into this initial frame, for which we'll go with the same road, I imagine. We'll have the trees here. And we came across the wonderful discovery of all of these new pampatar palms, if you will, last episode when we were building the marina, or the waterfront tram park rather. The gum trees are, however, really nice. Usually with these ones. Yeah, big fan of those. Okay, and then we'll also prepare this 4-lane road to actually come and sort of split away now. We'll come on with road anarchy, and then we'll just bring this down and out. You can flow over here to be expanded at some point once we need a build over there. We'll also use a touch of node controller, and we're just going to straighten everyone out here. There we go. So that's what we want to happen. The gradient is perhaps a touch too sharp here now, so again, a touch of the old network multi-tool is going to be more than welcome. We're just straightening these out. Possibly lose this last marina now as well. I'm going to be happy with that as an initial sort of concept into the area. Let's definitely also make a roundabout here. Let's go into a 3-lane. And we'll go for 3-lane with no parking is the one we want. Road length as well. And then we'll just do a little 4-deep roundabout here. Nothing too major. Again, lots of decoration opportunities with the road network. Now coming into play too. And then this can carry on. And then we can use this as a little sort of entry point back into the harbour, for which we can use one of our Vanilla Plus roads. Also discovering a whole new love for the world of Vanilla Plus roads since we started 5B Season 3. And Strawberry Garden has just hit level 2. That's great. That's going to give us access to gazebos. So now let's work on introducing the first residentials. And I already have kind of the perfect asset in mind for what I want to run as repeatable patterns for the Marina residential. And it's a little 2x2 at low density number. So we'll see what we can do with that. Let's get the vast majority of this sort of straightened out. Or sloped out really. So there's no major nasty terrain happening going on. So in terms of the first residentials, I think I'm going to be running with just the regular 2-lane road with trees. And let's come off of this now and start creating a few connections down into these spaces. So I don't want total back-to-back connectivity. We will come in with just a regular 2-lane road here. Let's just go for the 1 unit ones. Yeah, let's go down a size. Yeah, let's save 3 tiles between for detailing. I'm happy with that sort of aesthetic. So let's dig out our asset. I know exactly which one it is. Let's come into low density res. We will filter down to 2x2s with our old faithful find it. And it's this one here. Yes, this is the one that I want. So several of these in repeatable patterns I think are going to work really nicely to sit opposite of the Marina. Very underrated asset, these ones, these little low density residentials. Quite American as well. So now we can talk about the residential palette. I don't particularly want a back-to-back measurement of these. I think I want to save a little bit of space for some trees and possibly some pathways to come through. So if we were to draw this here, let's come back in to find it, and then we can place in another batch of our repeatable pattern. So the general concept here is, again, kind of pathways behind houses are always appreciated, especially when we can surround them with live oaks now, which adds such a nice dimension to them. Really brings home that kind of leafy green suburb. Kind of similar to what we did in the capital actually with the European suburbia, but now just doing it with repeatable patterns of our favourite low density assets. Okay, we are getting a touch of leafage against the housing, but that's fine. It's more work for the tree surgeons, right? Cool. But as initial concepts, I'm very happy with running with these. Certainly in and around the Marina. Definitely happy with that. So in terms of power generation, what exactly should we do? The city is at a point now where it really wants another power station. It is, however, another 560 a week. I guess it's my responsibility to supply my own power, I think. I'm not entirely sure. If I can go and siphon off from some Azalis. He has set up his own power as well. Yeah, he's got the wind turbines, hasn't he? Yeah, and his own sewage. Okay, yeah, so yeah, we're definitely supposed to be setting up on our own. That's fine, I can do that. Definitely, in that case then, some wind turbines will be a more than welcome addition into the build. I just think a touch closer to this side of the Marina is going to be appropriate, isn't it? Definitely a water tower. Love a water tower. Let's go for the Old Faithful. And everyone else is staying under the road, so I might as well do that as well. Otherwise, have the anti-water pipe gang coming for me. And we can't be having that, not this season. Okay, and now we bring these down under our roads, which pleases everyone greatly, I'm sure. Okay, fantastic news. We will eventually sync power through, of course, but for the time being, I will just chuck in a couple of earthquake sensors that should span everyone across. Let's go for one more. Cool. We'll obviously change those, ignore them for right now. And then we want sewage also. So I think I'm happy for this right side of the town to become the industrial side of it, if you like. And we do have, I think probably next episode we might do like an industries DLC build for my town. Maybe like a little accompanying forestry area for here. I don't think we'll get it done today, not a full forestry area, but we'll give some initial satisfying industrial designs to come into our industrial roads. We'll upgrade this into industrial. And then this can come back now with a road length and an angle snap. Let's bring it out up to the road. Okay, and then we'll just throw in some very generic industry. So this part of the town doesn't immediately starve of goods to sell. We'll try and make this somewhat detailed as well. We're not just going to leave it as generic mass-zoned industry like this. No, thank you. Cool, so that's really it for the industry. Let's get it watered up. We shouldn't need vast amounts of it over here. I don't think the town is going to be relatively small. And everyone should be happy now. And there's Big City, wonderful. We do get water treatment plants, or the new water tower as well. I'm happy with the small one though. Crematoriums, that's going to be handy for death care. Finally. Guess he's going to want some power as well. I'll tell you what, actually, let's factor in a little bit of detailing now. Let's come in with a car park. And we're just going to use a 40 metre. Is that probably a little bit too big for this area? I think it is, isn't it? Okay, let's do a service road then. Then we'll grab a car park, go by 10 units. We'll grab another service road, come out by 5, and then do another little car park here as well. But this time we'll do it by 15. Now we'll bring this in, and then up on a... No, not the angle actually, let's not do that. There we go. Cool, so let's get a little bit of car parking in for the industrial area. Try and make this settle in. I'm not a massive lover of generic industry usually. but it certainly has its place in the game. It shouldn't just be totally ignored. Of course, everyone wants sewage now, so we will grab probably the inland water treatment plant. We don't have any of the other ones unlocked yet, do we? Do have the advanced eco one, but it's not totally non-pollutive, is it? No. And there we go. That should be grand now. Once everyone's power hooks through, of course, don't be an idiot egg. Actually forget to give the people some power. There we go. Everyone should be alright now. Yes, there we go. Okay, so that's going to start bringing some people into the town anyway. So yeah, let's speed this up. Let's get this repeatable pattern in, and then we can start talking about some marina frontage as well. Okay, so we now have our little repeatable house pattern in, and I'm very happy with this. It works out quite nice, doesn't it? I've also changed the tree on the front of the road as well, because those gum trees were like really blocking the view to the repeated. Would these be like townhouses? Not entirely sure what their qualification is. They're very American, aren't they? Something like the wood paneling and the sort of front porch with the stairs. I do like these assets, but let me know what they're called if they do indeed have a terminology. I would be interested to know. However, we now have crime, of course. So I believe we actually had a comment on the series saying like the crime and the service distribution is going to be quite tricky to work with on this map because we're also spread out. So I'm interested to see how this works. So now let's start working on a little commercial service waterfront, if you will. So definitely want to bring in a car park that sits near enough straight against the quay here. Real quay aesthetic of some car parking by the marina. Go ahead and grab a police station. I think the classic European one is going to suit us best here. We definitely want to angle this though, so it comes out like this. Ooh, we're going to have enough room. Yes, we are, because we can just finagle the nodes ever so slightly closer. That's going to be fine with me. Let's also remove that as well. We'll readjust the sort of frontage road for the marina. Cool. We'll have our police station there. We will also surface paint the edge of it so it kind of flashes out the texture. All the way around the back here too. And that's going to be a nice addition into the waterfront, I think, isn't it? Back into a 2-lane road now, and let's find something that we like for the marina waterfront. About a 2-lane avenue with grass, maybe. So I want to be snapped to the road guideline of the quay. We'll bring this down. Now I can definitely already tell that the quay just wants to have a little bit more breathing room away from the rest of the infrastructure. So we'll just grab it with move it and slide it over a touch. Yeah, this gives us much more breathing room now, doesn't it? Let's break this road. And then we're going to bring in a little curve as well. Just small little freeform increments. And hopefully we should still be alright with the water. I think once it calms down we will be anyway. Cool. We're not making too much of a song and dance out of this so far. I think it's still relatively sensible. Let's add in a little sported road now. Start dropping in some park assets down here. Definitely feeling skate parks. Okay, so over this way. Happy with that. Now, we're very nearly to the point of unlocking the level 5 city park stuff due to last episode's Strawberry Gardens. Which it does have the entertainment value, it's just a case of it wants more visitors, so let's bang up the money as well. Only ever so slight Park Life cheeses, it's fine. Everyone calm down before anti-Park Life cheese gang comes for me. Okay, cool. Definitely feeling lots of plopped commercial along this waterfront too. of course, for which we want to remove our filters. And as always, there is some very nice choices within the vanilla pool for Art Deco assets and University City content creator assets. There's just no competition if you're playing without custom assets off the workshop. They're just perfect waterfront assets. Okay, so let's start bringing this into position. Definitely have this little sort of cafe looking one up on the corner here and expose its sort of eatery area to the water. The ice cream parlour will work really nicely alongside this area too, especially with those benches, right? Catfish cafe, a little bit of wine and liquor too. Very nice. Let's actually leave a space here for some more of our sort of waterfront park palette to come and develop between the commercial and the quay, which of course is only going to make it more walkable. Yeah, definitely the sky bar. And then there's also the one with the little, yeah, this one. The one that's basically an Olive Garden from the real world, isn't it? Yeah, this one here. Let's have this one up against the waterfront. Make sure that we're making all the little fences flush. That's really going to help detail the street as well. And there we go. That's going to be good for me. Okay, so tiny little commercial frontage alongside the marina now. I think that's going to work tremendously well, isn't it? I think definitely what we want to do now is bring in all of the sort of breakwater rocks just to tidy up the areas where we know the key isn't going to lie. So again, we'll bring this up and then let's grab the nodes. We'd move it, everyone will come down to this height over here, if we can help it. There we go, that's fine by me. So we wanted to do a little bit of terraforming here in order to get the key to behave itself for the most part. Yeah, let's go for there. Then that can be our new terraforming layer now. We use level terrain on a very small brush size. And then start cutting all this away. And that's where our rocks are going to go to. Making sure we don't actually sink the rocks down, that would be helpful. There we go. And then, yes, let's trim off all this land now where we know the marina is going to open up. And this should be quite a nice time for us all. Cool, so let's get the breakwaters in. And then we'll see what we think of the marina. So we also want a recycling centre as well. That should be far enough with my water tower. Yes, we're good. So yeah, we got a little sort of breakwater rocks in now. Touch more terraforming slightly needed where it gets a little bit janky, but otherwise I'm happy with it for the most part. I'm very much enjoying this kind of low-key waterfront marina now, which of course we get lots of trees in during our detailing tunnels, which would be nice. So school and education for the most part isn't that bad in the city at the minute. We are probably at the point now where we could do with the university. We're going up to 2,000 eligible. We will start to receive not enough or not highly educated workers eventually. Okay, so let's let this go up here. And then I think we'll start bringing out some new suburban patterns. We'll also provide a second connection into our industrial area. Let's do that while we're here. Bring this down into a guideline. Up into the roundabout. That'd be good. Okay. So I think I'll essentially treat this little bit here between the industry and the highway as a little bit of wasteland. So we're bringing a pathway between here and the car parks. Get some people walking back and two. We'll also do the same here as well. And then I think we'll just expand the texture of the vanilla walking pathway with some gravel surface painter. Not too much, and we're not on a north-east southwest snap here, so surface painter won't behave itself, but it can be tidied up with detailing. It will also paint the entire section of the car park into gravel as well, like we did with our fishing harbour last episode. Or not fishing harbour, the tram park. Okay, and let's just bring this around the edge of the car parks here. Okay, and then I think a little bit of that chain link fence in now, between the highway and the pathway. And remembering that we do want to save a spot for people to actually walk through. Okay, let's have this run right the way up. Maybe our pathway is about there. So save a spot for people to actually enter and exit. So I think just a little bit of gravelly wasteland. Definitely some of the larger sort of overgrowth pallets are going to be welcome here too. Bring our brush size down. Certainly some of the sort of larger rocks. Okay. Probably stay away from the larger decals. Some in those as well. And then we can decide on a tree palette here now. We maybe just get some of these sort of shorter, tufty looking green things growing around some of the rock formations. Otherwise this land has become relatively arid and isn't really sort of maintained or that nutritious for the plants anymore. Okay, so I think a little bit of gravel texture, a couple of rocks and some very delicate bits of overgrowth can help us transition from arterial to generic industry a little easier than just chucking it down and then being done with it. Okay, cool. So ideas that we can expand during our daytime timelapse, of course. And things are starting to die over here now. We will expand out our water capacity. Wonderful. So I'm also thinking I should probably extend a little hand over to Zardes. Should we do that? Just so we have a connection. I think what I'll do is I'll come in with a little rural road and we'll just let this span off out of the industrial area. It can sort of be like a little backcountry road that no one really takes anymore. But it will link me and old Zardes together. So I'll just extend my hand. If he wants to connect in, he can. It's probably a little bit too much in his territory, isn't it? Yeah, Tree Anarchy's on as well. That's fine. That's Zardes' problem now. Alright. And I think what we will do is also just leave Zardes a little calling card so he knows that we've been here. Because he is our neighbour, so essentially dropping off like a little bag of sugar for him. I'm going to give him a little stretch of nature reserve fencing. So yeah, we'll just leave this for Zardes, just so he knows that we've been here. Go for nodes and trees. Okay. So we'll leave that there for him. Actually try and integrate it into his city so it's not just here. Alright. Just next to his main road there. Just to let him know that we've moved in. Right, he's got some nature reserve fencing in the bush waiting for him now. So road, just want a small little suburban road for this. Let's go for probably one of the 1 unit ones. Okay, now we need to decide what's going to happen with the key, because this is where we're now changing layers due to the start of the episode's terraforming. So let's have a little look at this. And I think I'm happy for this survey layer to break now. Yeah, so we'll allow the keys to sort of end here, do a little bit more rock work. Because I don't want the whole waterfront keyed, I do want this to be quite rural, and I think the keys do add some kind of sense of density, if you like. Cool. So we're going to use these. Let's just bring these out and around. We'll probably make this European suburbia, I imagine. Okay, let's come in through here, start creating some slightly more interesting road networks. Again, we'll allow this sort of main arterial frame to just basically span through the entire town, and whatever we end up sticking down there can also feed into it. All about preparing road networks in advance, of course, always helps in this game. Cool. Yeah, so just have some little sort of dead-end roads here to come down. And we can definitely do touches of node controller here as well if we want. Just to widen out those cul-de-sacs to about 200%. Not 2,100 though, that's too much. Yeah, so we'll do a couple of little cul-de-sacs right at the ends of these little roads. Help us to have some nice sort of water frontage designs. And again, anything that's not playing fair will be used with Move It to bring it back up to the top. Fantastic, and then we'll also provide the occasional connection back into the main road. This should be fine for me. So I will save this design for a little school park, but for right now it can just sort of stay there. Once we need a school over here, that is. Okay, let's identify any water issues. Fantastic. Let's go ahead and start with some parks down, because we've not really placed any yet. It did save a space over here for something, and also here as well, but that'll probably have to be manually drawn. Always a dog park on the corner. It's always a firm favourite, isn't it? But it won't particularly play fair with the 1 unit roads, so let's just draw that over. Okay, let's go for a basketball court on the corner here, which we will need to decorate ourselves, which we can do. Okay, and then really what I want to save these spaces for is, like I mentioned, some sort of hand-drawn parkage, if you will. So we'll come off basically all our angles, or all our snap points. Let's leave some stretches of nature reserve fence around this. Not everywhere, just sort of occasional bursts of it, if you like. And little bits of our favourite overgrowth palettes. Of course, we are using the 5B at 1C. It's Season 3 brush at this point. But I'm very happy with the live oaks. They're really going to tie into the rural theme. Get some longer grasses in here as well to start to develop. Some nicer, more organic green belts around the side of the town now. And I think I'm happy for this little residential palette to continue along this side of the road, at least for a tiny bit. Yeah, sort of like here. Yeah, and then again, probably a little one-way industrial access road here. Just so we're not putting too much pressure on this main road, we'll just make it a one-way. If people want to get into the industry area a little bit quicker, then they can. Okay, but I think I'm very much enjoying the aesthetic of these repeated houses, so it's something we'll keep going to the final roundabout as well. Okay, and then from whichever angle we look at it now, we're kind of getting these repeated townhouses, and from most of their perspectives, there is some kind of open greenbelt parkland knocking around them, which again, I'm happy to have develop. We can discuss some heavier detailing along the front of the waterfront now. And there's something that I've just been really fond of recently, and this is very rigid blocks of farm fencing alongside pathways to essentially frame them. Maybe we can bring this down. Let's go ahead and grab not the cinematic camera, it's not what you want to do. Grab all the nodes of it. Then once you got it drawn in, find yourself a tree. Try pick a tree that you don't usually use that much. I think I'll go for a couple of these workshop gums that come with the map. Little bits of overgrowth around them. And then you can just repeat this little palette now as it comes up and down. And break it with the occasional park life asset, maybe like a little restroom here for people by the waterfront. And bring that down if it's not quite playing fair with the elevation, then just sort of snap it back down with a couple of page ups and downs. Okay, and I think, every time you have a pedestrian crossing now, you can design lots of little templates and palettes that can constantly be used around these sort of small town designs like this. So I'm really happy with that. Okay, something we can bring along the whole waterfront here during the daytime time lapse as well. Perfect, so things are beginning to build up in and around our main complex here. Let's add in some more service assets. We'll definitely go for a med clinic. A huge lover of the vanilla med clinic. We will also grab another car park in order to sit alongside this. Let's go for right there. That's going to be good for me. And then we'll throw in touches of the old faithful, of course. Just so happy to have car parks in this game. It's so good to not play with the absolutely horrendous Green Cities solution now. Okay, touches of walkability here as well. Happy with that. Very good. So because the industrial demand is so high, I don't really want to keep just mass zoning a generic industry. A lot of this probably will be torn out in favour of a forestry build here once I'm back in my town. I do a nice big mountainside forestry area. I think that'd be quite nice to complement the rural vibes. So with that in mind, my original point is to place in some generic industry buildings. So with that in mind, my thought process is to play with some office buildings instead. Okay, so these ones work really nicely together. However, they do also come in a red brick version, which is the one that I want. So we will reset them. There we go. Then we want to slide this over. And then same thing again with this one. I'm going to bring it directly behind. Okay, just line them up. It's going to be perfect. Let's move the basketball court along the side. And then we can grab both of these. And let's give them a little slide back until they're sat kind of where we want them. Kind of equidistant between the front and the back roads. Yeah, both is going to maintain a connection. It's going to satisfy touch that industry demand and also add a little bit onto our sort of main street vibes that we're trying to develop here as well today. So we picked out a new district. We'll set this up for European suburbia. I just prefer these houses for kind of the rural look. Which we don't have to worry too much about shatter zoning. So the 3x3s and the 2x2s are all more than welcome within this theme. Got a nice batch up here as well. And then we'll allow some waterfront park greenbelt to overtake this space here. And for which we might actually be able to factor in the little layer change in this direction. Let's come onto a slope tool. And then if we can just bring this out. Yeah, that does give me slightly more of what I'm after. And then we'll also soften out that new jank that appears. That's wonderful news. We don't have a fire station over here either. So let's go ahead and throw that in. I think I'm fancying the vanilla one. Okay, and where do we want this sort of in and around the industry is going to be more appropriate, isn't it? Why don't we kind of have this on a little road kind of between the residential and the industrial, which I'm feeling perhaps a little bit of industrial, one unit. Yeah, that's fine for me. And then we'll throw in our fire station on this road. Okay, and then use it with the fencing that we've already installed to complement it. There we go. That's going to keep the firehouse going. Goodness me. Get away. Horrendous asset. So yes, all this University City stuff happened to have spawned in naturally. I'm very happy with that. Let's keep that going. Okay, so I'd definitely like to see the train flowing through some kind of lighter, more rural looking suburbia. So I think I'm actually going to amend the train line to allow that to happen. So we will delete it. So this currently leads nowhere, doesn't it? Yeah, it just dead ends in Zardis' area. Okay, so if you want to send a train through, you can. We don't think we have train stations unlocked yet, right? Yes, we do. Yes. And I can actually place them until we build a train station. Okay, let's just do that then. I don't want the train station here yet. Actually, I guess we could put the train station in, right? I guess there's no reason why we can't. Yeah, we can make it part of our main street here. Okay, yeah, let's do that then. Let's do that. Okay, so let's add a train station in. There is a new plan. Let's go ahead and grab this road here. And then we'll use it on this frame, and we'll give, of course, the train station its own little platform, for which a one-way system is probably going to be the most appropriate. We'll draw in the holding frame for right now, and then I want the train station to sit about there. That's perfect. Let's bring this down now, and then we want to save the same amount of tiles between, so that's nice and equidistant now. Let's grab ourselves the sky, apparently. Let's come on to a road length. Snap off a little bit of this area, go onto a road guideline, and then just find that curve again. That's very nice, and then we want to do the same thing over here now as well. So this is hooked into an intercity line, so it should accept intercity trains. And if Zardis wants to feed in a passenger line between mine and his town at next episode, he is absolutely more than welcome to. Okay, someone tell him. I'll tell him in the group chat, to be fair. Okay. Cool. So then, what I'm thinking of is just lots of very sparsely plopped residential. So, this 2-lane country road is speaking to me, and it is zonable. So, I want to stick very rigidly into a grid here. Not there, that's a bad connection to make. We'll also do it here as well. Let's cross back over from this point. It's forest brush. A little bit of the forest that we're not going to be making use of today. There we go. Okay, so let's bring that up. Same again here. So the train station is obviously going to be a loud asset. Although it's not massively loud at the minute, of course, because there's no trains here. See, now I am very wary of creating too many rail crossings, to which point I think we can lose this one now. Okay, I definitely don't want these to take priority, and there's going to be so little infrastructure around the back of these that I don't think it's really going to matter that much. You stayed straight there? No, that's where we want to be, isn't it? Yeah, there we go. Let's redraw that one out. So I'm hoping once the houses are in, this sort of idea here is going to be a lot more sort of cohesive. Let's delete this section now too. Let's bring in another grid frame up this side. And then I'm thinking that just lots of college assets searched within the university city stuff, just to create some slightly more rural residential patterns that are sandwiched between a little train line that flows through. Obviously not too close to the station, we're going to be careful of that. Let's go ahead and find some different sort of assets. Yeah, sort of these ones. Sort of old houses where, you know, the railway was once pretty quiet and tame, but now it's kind of grown up around it and it's starting to bring in a little more density. But these houses have refused to move. Yeah, so it's very sparsely populated. So there shouldn't be that much traffic passing over these road crossings. Because of course it's not always the best idea to have lots of rail crossings in cities. The game AI isn't an enormous lover of it, so we'll see how it gets on. It definitely won't have any more infrastructure around it than this. Okay, but I'm hoping you can see the vibe, and hopefully we will actually see a train pass by. Let's just double check that this is an intercity line. Yeah, it comes out here, comes through Yumble's Desert. Yes, we connect in here, and then this goes outside the map, doesn't it? Yes, where we have a connection. Okay, so I've claimed the first train station. Oh, that's Xalis' town. Let's make sure we go to the right one. Okay. Wonderful news. I hope this has hammered home the point of what we're trying to do here today. I think that I am on board with it. However, guys, that does feel like a wonderful place for a detailing time-lapse. We're going to come through, carry on introducing lots of our very heavily landscaped, water-fronted residential patterns. Again, with the occasional park life asset introduced as general service. Come in and tree up and greenify our waterfront park area. Again, just lots of live oaks. And our general 5B 1C palette here. And also tidy up any inconsistencies with the terrain where the breakwater rocks are sat. Come in and fill out all these areas with, again, with more green belt. Allow some commercial to develop alongside the high street too. And then also finagle some houses into the end roads here using Move It and Find It. Continue to introduce the very sparsely populated side of town in and around the rail line, and hopefully during the cinematics we will actually see the first train arrive, for which we might also accompany with an intercity bus stop here. I might just throw in one of these ones, just a regular intercity bus station. It's kind of loud though, so we'll see what happens. And then also reinstate the 5B forest right up to the edge of town, just so it helps isolate us a little bit more and gives us that kind of more rural feel. And then little bits of industrial detailing, refine some of the asset placements, all our usual bits and pieces. Let's detail the overcharged egg rural town, and then we'll be right back. Okay guys, that is going to do it for today. I'd like to thank you all so much for watching. If you've enjoyed, likes, comments and shares below really do help me out. If you'd like to help support, there are links to Instant Gaming and Patreon below. And equally as much if you haven't enjoyed it, then leave me a dislike as well. Really happy with this. Starting off with this really kind of cute small town vibes, lots of commercial, industrial and residential detailing. And really happy with how the waterfront turned out. The mix of breakwater rocks and keys really came off quite nicely. Huge fan of it. There was lots of little green belt details that happened during the daytime time lapse and details that you wouldn't have seen going as well. So please do hang around for the final cinematics and then let me know what you think of this place at night time as always. But I hope you have enjoyed my return to 5B. Lots of waterfront action this time. Did something similar last week as well. But it's a really nice map. If you haven't downloaded Eggsy's Pampatar, please go and do so. Slay 3K is up next week, so you guys will have a brand new builder. Do go and check out everyone, they are all linked below. Otherwise I will shut up and I will leave it there. Thanks, thank you all so much for watching. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day.
Has flown away in a night or in a day, in a vision or in none. Is it therefore the less gone? All that we see or seem is but a dream within a dream.